Sponsored by the American Awards and Weimar Fuel Injection and Turbo, presented tonight by Mr. Keith Theobald, the NTPA president. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make our way into the NTPA Pulling Hall of Fame. For our next Hall of Fame inductee, the rekindling of a grand old class was the spark that lit the fuse on 4 consecutive championships. But the blue flame that shone its brightest during this period on-track dominance was only the tip, fueled as it was by an ambition to advance his class, his event, his state, and his sport. The word got out in late 2004 after a decade absence from the Grand National schedule. The light superstock division would be back in the fold for 2005. Encouraged by the news, some competitors scrambled to get back in. Others bought or built anew to capitalize on the rejuvenated class, but still others who had remained loyal to the lights during this 10-year period of dormancy. The comeback announcement just meant there would be more places to run and bigger crowds to please. One such mainstay was Mark Peissig. Having started at the age of 12 pulling farm stock on blacktop with a Massey Harris 44, Peissig served as a trusted wrench on good friend Kevin Lynn's notorious Ford Light Super. The crew were 2 of the last 4 top point earners in the earlier Grand National era, and in 1988 and in 1993. Meanwhile, Mark teamed with Kevin's brother John on a Ford 7810 9,000-pound Pro Stock beginning in 1992 and won a title, Central Wisconsin Dirt Clingers Circle. As the nationwide light class faded to black, Mark and the Lynn brothers switched colors accordingly and campaigned a Ford Charger heavy diesel named the Fat Boy. Peissig related that the name had double meaning, half of which was as dark as the International 5488's paint job. My nickname forever had been Fat Boy, Peissig told the puller in 2005. Oh, and the first atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima was Fat Boy. Starting in 1994, Peissig and the Lynn's nuclear weapon was a force in the upper Midwest, claiming runner-up finishes twice in Region 3 and thrice in Wisconsin over the next 5 seasons. Soon after, Peissig's service to the motorsport expanded from involvement in the pull held annually at the hometown Dorchester and chaired by his father to a directorship on the Wisconsin Tractor Pullers Board. Then in 1999, Fat Boy had reached the end of its half-life, and its components were recycled for use on friend and chassis builder Dave Thunn's Super Smoker, Mr. Ed. Kevin went back to being a main driver, now on the newly constructed 504 Rocket, New Holland, and Mark returned to a supporting role on the sidelines. His contributions on the Rocket launch pad resulted in his election to 2001 NTPA Crew Chief of the Year. When Mike and Tom Wilhite from Kentucky then put their Ford Alki puller up for sale, this diesel guy at heart was more than ready to jump back in the seat. The first season, the bomb's pattern of destruction was uneven. Broke 3 front ends off, sent some connecting rods through the block, Peissig reflect after the season before putting it in perspective. Usual first-year tragedies. One consolation in this period was a frequent breakage, was his selection as Wisconsin Promoter of the Year for his work with Dorchester behind the scenes, cheerleading events all across the Dairyland state. Dialed in for 2003, Peissig and the Bomb had a blast, while capturing the WTPA championship and finishing second in Region 3. That is, as he completed his second year as a state association's president and partnered with his brother Gene in the operation of the family business, Bob's Dairy Service. My 3 brothers, Gene, Jeff, and Tom, all pulled it one time or another, Peissig noted. I guess I just got the bug to do it more than they did. Gene is very supportive of my pulling, but he thinks I'm nuts for putting in all those late hours. The Bomb and the 504 Rocket, now stablemates, required more moonlit mending from their technicians in 2004. But in particular, Peissig's ride debuted a new Gene Sharber engine with a Ron Boltemeyer head and a 3-charger setup. Bugs were worked out in the power plant over the course of that season, and just in time for 2 major developments. 1, a fund-built component chassis, and 2, the 2005 reawakening of the Grand National class, which is where we came in. Peissig and the Bomb hooked at 25 state and national events that season, 7 of which were Grand National. came away with victories at Montgomery City and Hillsboro, Missouri, and rode to the division's first top shelf championship in 11 years. Grand National success is a result of being very consistent, Peissig remarked in his inaugural big league season, which also included 6 second places, which were sufficient to exceed the Wilhite brothers' Blue Blazes by just 5 points. I just don't make a lot of mistakes or get plagued with major malfunctions. Peissig and the Wilhites waged an even more intense battle for most of 2006, with the bomb exploding for 8 wins and piling up 436.5 points, while additionally fending off Larry Phillips' Insanities and the Sandefers' Farm Boys Fantasy and Al Cook's Entertainer. Mark also completed his work as WTPA president and joined the NTPA executive board for what would be a highly productive 2-term run representing the competition membership. In 2007, Peissig was a winner, only in season opening Midland, Michigan, but he made it stand for his 3rd consecutive Light Super Championship with a 1-point margin over Lynn and the Rocket, who returned after a year off of the trail. Mark was quick to credit his wife Terry and children Emily, Tim, and Logan for the backing, both at home and at the pool, where Terry frequently helped the WTPA as an entry clerk during Mark's first running on the circuit. Then in 2008, the bomb got a new shell in the form of retro 9600 tin work that had the blue fans drooling. It continued to run as good as it looked. In its debut dance in its vintage dress, Peissig's throwback was a Toma Session 1 pull-off winner. 3 more Grand National wins followed among 13 top 5s, but the bomb needed a pressure win and 3rd on Sandwich Saturday night to prevail by a single point over season-long duel with Phillips. Our whole class is a class act, and I love having a good time with everyone and my crew afterwards, Peissig told the puller once he became a 4-time champion. We're competitive on the track, but we all help each other behind the scenes. The pair burnished their latest achievement with an Enderley pull-off win and were awarded the Hart Charger Trophy that December. No one could have known, but in 2008 augured a transition. Besides traditional powers, Phillips and Sandifer victories were registered by up-and-comers Marcus Wedelson and Brian Korth, 2 names that would shape the next decade of the light superstock after Lynn and the Rocket flew the Blue Banner for one more championship season in '09. Mark, elder son Tim, and the Bomb gave the Grand National Series another shot, taking 7th in the standings in 2015. Tim and Logan have since acknowledged their dad's storied career by naming their modified Mini Fallout and lacquering it striped in Ford blue and Ford white. Mark Peissig's story is that of a man committed to the betterment of pulling, whether as a driver, a helper, a promoter, or a director. His run of titles with the Bomb heralded a boom period of Grand National Light Superstock, and by itself makes him most fitting initial inductee from that division. But when all of his contributions are considered, pulling will be feeling Fat Boy's aftershocks for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mark Peissig, the newest member of the Pulling Hall of Fame.
Deep breath. I don't think my dad ever thought this was going to happen in 1978 when he told me to unhook that Massey Harris 44 from the manure spreader and took it to town with the first pull. I'm really going to date myself. That was one of those sleds that guys got on. When I found out I was receiving this award, I actually thought, why me? And I looked at my wife and says, I'm not that old. She goes, yes, you are. You know, this is an award you really don't strive for, but I guess, you know, it's a great honor. I don't know what to say, actually. I was just having fun doing something what I loved. The greatest part was, all the places we got to go, all the competitors, fans. It was definitely gaining another family. These people gave his shirt off their back, and there was a lot of times people gave me things that they never even knew me. I've gotten turbochargers, nuts, bolts, whatever. They never even knew who I was. What a great feeling. This award really was a team effort. I just want to thank some specific people that really made it possible, that helped me out through the years. Wayne Jasinski, a lot of late nights. Nate Sprati, Brian Craig, and Dave Fund. All the other crew members that we had, all those long nights spent getting the tractor and rig ready for the weekends. I'd like to thank like Larry Phillips, the Will Heights, George Everett. In the beginning of the class, I had to have a few arguments with you about maybe we should change it, but thanks, George. And obviously Rex Kuhn, who's still a huge pain in my ass, and all the other competitors from that time frame. Really helped get that light super stock class back on its feet, and that's what this was really about. Obviously Kevin Lynn, for all long nights, laughs, great times through the last 40 years. For him always willing to share his knowledge, guidance, and encouragement, even if it was needed or not. To my wife, Terry, for putting up with me for the sport for 33 plus years. Always holding down the fort so I could pursue my hobby that I loved. To my daughter, Emily, who I want to thank for tagging along all those years, never missing the first couple of years, never missing an event with me, even though people still don't know that you exist. To my two sons, Tim and Logan, thank you for renewing my passion in the sport. Tim, you never gave up on the sport, continue to push me. Logan, thanks for your wittiness and ability to have a one-liner for everything. Lastly, I'd just like to thank the tractor pulling sport as a whole.
Mark, remember, when that happened, you look good on that screen.
That is so fitting. Lastly, I'd like to thank the tractor pulling sport as a whole. Thank you for the weekends of fun, laughter, and excitement, for taking me to new places and meeting people I would soon gain as great friends. You ultimately gave me a family I never expected to find, and for that, I will ever be grateful. Thank you.